Hi everyone, my name is Kenzie and welcome to a watercolor tutorial. If you would like to just skip right to the painting and not worry about the sketch, down below in the description you will find a link that will take you to my website where you can download the sketch and also the ebook for this painting. So this painting was a lot of fun, but it was also a reminder for myself to be patient and let my layers dry. Otherwise you're going to get some spillage of paint into places you don't want it to go. So let's go have some fun with this painting and let's get started. So this right here is my Winsor Newton watercolor paints that I have taken from the tube and put it inside this palette that I got off of Amazon. I have a tapping cloth right here. It's always good to have one. That way you don't have excess water on your page. I also have my two water cups right here. One I use for cool paints and one I use for my warmer paint colors. I also have right here my dryer. I like to use this to speed up the process between layers. These are the brushes that I use. These are the silver black velvet. I have size 12, 4, and 8, and these are the round tip brushes. So these are also some other brushes that I like to use as well. If I have a large area like a landscape, I'll typically use this brush. And this oval brush that I have right here is really good for florals and other things as well. So I do like these two brushes. I'm using this painting as an example. I always like to have painter's tape on hand. I like to paint down my paintings. It's easier to one, film, and to also just keep everything from moving around and it getting a little messy. It also helps to protect your desk, which you'll see mine is very worn. So it definitely does help with that. So the first thing I want to do is my sky, my background. So you could put masking fluid over this, but I think I'm just going to be really careful and not go into my lighthouse. So I'm going to pull out my nice blue color for my skies, and I want there to be some clouds, and I want it to be more of like a cloudy overcast day than anything. So I'm going to come around and I am going to blot. Whoa, sorry about that. Knock that out. So I'm just going to blot around, and then I'm going to grab a separate brush. I got my other oval. I'm going to blend this out. And I blended it out with just having a damp brush that just kind of lifted and absorbed some of that water and paint that I had down in the page. And this technique is called the wet on dry technique, where I'm applying a wet surface, which is my blue, onto a dry surface, which is my page. A little bit softer on my blue. Maybe put a little bit of indigo in there as well. Maybe around my horizon, I'll do some skies, some clouds, sorry. I'm just gonna blend out this harsh line that I have right here, just a little bit. I'm gonna apply some indigo while it's still wet and blend this out. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. I'll probably come in and add more layers to it. And I'm gonna come and do my ocean. So because it's really far away, I want it to be pretty dark. So I'm coming in with a nice pigmented indigo. And I'm just gonna use water to spread it out. Coming right up to that horizon line that I painted for you. My clouds weren't 100% dry, so it's bleeding into my sky a bit. So I'm just gonna have to finish off this part and then I'll blend out there. So I'm being careful not to go 100% around my rock area. I'm just going to pull some indigo right from the palette. I can even use a scooping technique where I just have a damp brush and just kind of lift up some paint as well. And I can come in with a very pigmented color. And because it's wet, do that wet on wet technique where it will give us some nice soft blends. So for this guy, I'm just gonna fix this real quick and just blend it out with some water. And then I'm gonna have to dry it really quick as well, so it doesn't keep blending. All right, I have a little bit of an ocean on the other side, not much, just a little bit. I'm gonna come with my indigo and just really carefully come in around my rocks and paint that. Okay, so coming back to my little ocean here in the horizon, I want my horizon line to be a lot more crisp. So I'm just gonna come in and just apply a second layer over top and just let that blend in. I can even use some water to just help blend out any ruffles that we want to have. I can scoop up some areas back there as well. All right, cool. So what I can do now is let this dry and I can move on to, let's just say, our rocks. Okay, so wherever you see some of the lines, it's where it's either going to be a little bit darker or we're going to have some grass. So I'm just going to come in and follow my lines down, and I'm going to shadow above that line with some brown. I'm going to get rid of everything on my brush, touching this line. I'm going to blend it out. So coming above the lines that I see, I'm going to blend it out. So anywhere I see an ink mark, I'm going to blend right above it. And I'm rotating between different shades of brown. I have a little bit of a grayish color in here. I have some light browns. And I'm just going to blend out some of this color right in here. And I'm going to bring it all the way down. I'm just going to put down my tape all the way down over here. So now what we can do is, now that we've filled in a lot of where my ink marks are, we can just come in and with a wash of a color, just touch around different spots for some depth within our rockery. And by doing that, you're just going to mix up different shades of brown. You can, while it's still wet, touch and just let it naturally expand on your page. You can apply a color, and if you don't love how it looks because it's too dry, you can use some water to blend it out. So the key here is to just not have this whole area just covered in water. You do want to have a bit of dryness in your page. All right, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to dry this now. And then coming around different spots again with this darker color, I can create some rock shapes and just extra depth as well. So you also see I've left a lot of white space. I've not completely covered the space that I had. There's still lots of paper here to shine through. And when I'm doing these extra layers, I'm not completely covering them as well. Okay, so on the top, I'm just going to apply a little bit more darkness. I'm going to come in with a darker shade while that's wet and just kind of blend that out. So now that I have a good base for my rocks down, I want to just mix up a little bit of green. So I just mixed a little bit of cadmium red with some sap green, a little bit of hooker's green. I don't like that green, so I'm gonna add a little bit more cadmium red. Oh, I got hair in my palette. Okay, and then I'm gonna, oh, you know what? I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow. Yeah. And then I can come in and just start adding some greenery to some areas so it kind of looks like some mossy areas. Add a little bit more yellow. So wherever the ink marks kind of were, that's where we can come in and just add some nice greenery. Using the very tip of my brush, I can just do some nice flicks. Just coming in with different shades of green. I'm going to come in with a little bit more darkness here. And really just emphasize different areas with some really dark gray and black. Okay, I'm going to dry this. And now I can come in with some darker layers of my green. Okay, so I'm happy with how the rocks are turning out so far, but now I want to come in with a little bit of a lighter blue, and I'm going to fill in this area down here with some nice light blue. I'm going to change brush sizes. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to scoop up close to the shore because I want it to be nice and light. Coming out with some light blues. I have to mix in a little bit more indigo in certain parts, especially to kind of blend out over here. I'm going to scoop up some of this as well. to shadow just a little bit underneath this area. And just let that kind of blend and do its thing. So for my lighthouse, I can come in and I can paint it the colors that I like. But the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to shadow both sides of my lighthouse. So I'm going to come in with a dark color on one side. Do you guys see now I have a harsh line? I'm going to get rid of everything on my brush and I am going to scoop up. So I have a really nice blend of my colors. I'm gonna bring that all the way up. So you're going to repeat what we just did on the other side of the lighthouse. You're also going to mix this brown color with a little bit of indigo, and you are going to shadow underneath the lantern room at the very top. As you see right here, there's a little bit more of a shadow under there. Next, what we're going to be doing is we're going to repeat what we just did with the blending for the design of the lighthouse itself. So I put down my red color, I grabbed a damp brush, and I blended out the harsh line, making sure I'm leaving white space towards my middle for a nice highlight. And then I'm just repeating this on other sections as well, but feel free to make this your own. You don't have to pick to the same colors. Okay, I'm just going to dry this so I can make my lines really sharp. Now that this layer's dry, I can come in with a second layer over top just to really make this red nice and bold. So you'll see I'm going to use a similar technique because I'm going to come in with that nice red color. I'm going to get rid of everything on my brush, tap my napkin, and then just blend out that harsh line. But I'm also not completely covering that first layer of red that I put down. That way I have a nice gradient of red on my piece of paper. This step is optional. I just went over my lines so it bled into my shadows a little bit. So I'm just over here trying to fix that and make my lines nice and crisp. So right now I'm going to dry this part so I can do another layer. I come in with a darker red. And I'm going to blend it out. Blend it out. And then I'm just going to start blending out this line right in here so that it looks like there is a light source hitting it right in there. Okay, we did it. And then there's a little bit of a red part in here. So I'm just repeating what I just did underneath with my red. I'm coming over top, making sure I'm still going to leave it nice and light in the middle, and then have my edges be more defined with a darker red. I'm doing the wet on wet technique here, so that first layer of light red is still wet, so it should naturally bleed out, but I'm also using a damp brush as well to just blend out any harsh lines that might be happening as well. And adding some shadows. Ooh, that's really dark. And then just adding some shadows and letting that blend out over here as well. While it's still wet, I'm going to grab a little bit more pigment of my red just to add. And letting that blend out. I'm going to dry this. So I'm going to use my size 4 brush. I'm going to mix up a gray color. I'm gonna come in and just do some of the railings. It's too dark. I'm just gonna follow my ink marks that I have down. And fill it out. And I'm just going to freehand some little railings over here. And there's going to be some like mini ones on this side, and then some taller ones over there. I come and fill out around here. And then in here, I'm going to outline a frame. I'm going to freehand a little light box fixture inside. Kind of looks like a little house with a little dome for the light. And for the top, I'm just going to mix like a nice brown color. And I'm going to fill in this top part, and I'm going to try to leave the middle following my light source a little bit lighter and having my sides be darker. So I'm just going to scoop up any harsh lines that I have. Doing that wet on wet technique here. I scoop up a little bit more. I'm going to come in with a little bit of gray as well and just touch the bottom area down here. Oh, that's really pigmented. Scoop up in there as well. Okay, and I have some windows. I'm going to come in with an indigo and kind of fill out these. I'm going to let that dry, then I'll come in and just do some framing as well. But in the meantime, I can come in with a little bit of gray and let that bleed out. I come with a little bit of yellow. A little bit of red, and try to just do a little color in here. I think I want to make this little line right in here a little bit thicker. So you can really just decorate this lighthouse any way that you'd like. It doesn't have to be exactly how I've done it. I'm going to do some freehand, some lights, some beams in there. I'm trying to think what else. I'm going to outline in here a little bit more right underneath. I'm going to come in with a darker color, a little bit of a darker brown, and fill in under here a little bit more. I'm going to come in around the sides. And apply some frames around the windows. And the door down here. So you can come in and you can even just add darker points anywhere that you'd like. You can just fill in any more, if you want to do some more ruffles and the water down here, some waves, you can definitely do that. And there's my lighthouse. I hope that you have enjoyed it and learned something new. Happy painting, friends. Don't forget to subscribe to enjoy more video tutorials just like this one.